Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. This is Anykind Media. My name is Ocean Subiono.
I'm Taylor Vera.
And today we're going to give you our take on episode 4 of Disney Plus and Lucasfilm's original series titled Obi-Wan Kenobi. Episode 4 came out like 3 days ago on Wednesday.
Yep, same day as Miss Marvel.
Yeah, and we're going to give you our take on it. Just like the last few episodes we've done on Kenobi, this is going to be spoilers pretty much straight off from the beginning. We'll give you a quick, like, 2-second yay or nay spoiler-free review, but then from there it's going to be spoilers. So,
I mean, if you like, at this point, you're either watching the whole thing or not. So.
I mean, you're pretty much pot committed. However, I will say that this episode took a major step back, in my opinion. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say without spoilers. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is your official
spoiler alert.
And yeah, disappointed. I know we had high hopes in our last episode, and we were like, this is what we needed. We needed a big step forward. Episode 3 was great. We got to see Darth Vader do some Darth Vader things. And we were both kind of like, all right, this episode was good. Let's see if Disney can keep it going. And for me, major step backwards. There were so many things that I didn't like about this episode. So many things that were just complete, to me, like, crazy errors that just don't, like, cinema wise, not even within the Star Wars like canon or anything, but just so many things that don't make sense, that kind of ruin the storytelling, and just literally made, like, me and my brother watched it, and there were so many times we looked at each other like, what the hell was that? So I mean, there's a few good parts here and there, but for the most part, for me, I was really sad. I was really disappointed in the way that this episode played out. Yeah, I don't know. How do you feel?
I don't feel as negatively as you do. I don't think it's particularly, like, great, but honestly, to me, it just feels like another episode of this entire show so far. Like, honestly, like, if you don't include just my love for certain characters and stuff,
Sure.
This show really isn't particularly amazing.
Right.
In fact, there's a lot of things I don't like about it, and then it just kind of gets clouded over for me when it does have moments that I love so much. But this episode, honestly, like, I think it's because I watched so many things recently that I kind of forgot a lot of what happened. I feel like there's a few things I remember, but, like, nothing really
don't
stands
worry
out to me other than some really bad looking stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna go through this. I know the producer has some screenshots and stuff for us to take a look at, and we'll kind of walk our way through the episode and talk about some of the bad, some of the good. Overall, for me, it felt like a bunch of cheap things, like cheap storytelling things to progress the storyline enough to fit within their time constraints. So this episode starts off with Kenobi after his run-in with Darth Vader being burned and saved by Tala and the loaded droid, right?
Yep.
They take him back to, do you remember the name of the planet? I don't remember. But apparently it's along the path, right?
Yeah.
And they're there, and they have a bunch of other resistance people, and they put Obi-Wan Kenobi into a Bacta tank, right, to help heal.
Bacta tank.
Huh?
Gotta have that Bacta.
Yeah. Now this particular scene, in my opinion, was a great start. Like, this episode started great. They put Obi-Wan Kenobi into a Bacta tank, right? In the scenes that happen within the Bacta tank, we get this.
I'm sure you like it because of the whole Vader thing.
Right. So we get this cut of shots between Vader in a bacta tank and Obi-Wan in a bacta tank, and I don't know if Vader was in the bacta tank at the same time or if those are just cuts from him in a bacta tank at some point. But
They made it seem like it was.
it
the
made it
same.
seem like they were in the bacta tank at the exact same time, and they were like had some kind of connection because we know from the book of Boba Fett and Boba Fett being in a bacta tank, we know that bacta tanks cause some level of not hallucinations, but just like it's sensory deprivation,
Yeah.
right? So you have these very vivid dreams or memories that come to light. So we know that the bacta tank causes those things to happen, and I could definitely it's not unfeasible, or it's feasible that they would be able to create this connection by both of them being in a bacta tank at the same time.
It's like Stranger Things.
Right. Oh well, sure. I don't know. I didn't watch it, so.
None of it.
Is that something from the first 3 seasons? It's been a while. But yeah.
Elle?
So
Do you not remember the beginning with Elle? That was her thing. Was sitting in the water.
Oh yeah,
using her
yeah.
powers.
Yeah, you're right. But it made sense to me that they would be able to have this connection, and I thought what we were gonna get was kind of a filler episode, right? Which is what this was in the
that's
end.
what it is.
It's a filler episode, but what I thought we were gonna get was maybe some footage or some like live action representation of them in the Clone Wars, right? Like imagine if this whole episode was like, or maybe the majority of the episode was Obi-Wan in the bacta tank. And a lot of the episode was him and Vader having this connection while in the bacta tanks together, and they were going down like a memory lane essentially, right? Of what they went through during the Clone Wars leading up to Order 66 and whatnot. And we got to see some live action representation of their storied past while they're in the bacta tank. And then at some point Obi-Wan gets out and then they go find Leia, right? Because the whole thing of finding Leia, like, as they told it, could have been condensed into about 20 minutes. Like, as they told it. In my opinion, it shouldn't have been. It should have been a lot, like, it should have been different. But the way that they told the story of finding and saving Leia could have been condensed down into 20 minutes, and they could have given us 20 to 25 minutes of a kind of like a look back on what happened and what was, to give a little bit more depth to the relationship between Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I think it would have been a really cool visually and whatnot for it to have happened while they were both in bacta tanks and going through the healing process together, right? But we didn't get that.
Yeah, I mean that would have been really cool, but I feel like your expectations are a little high there. I would not expect anything like that out of this show. Like, so far as this show has been going on, like, as excited as I am to watch it every time, because I just, in case something amazing happens, like in the last episode of just them meeting and somewhat fighting, I would never expect anything like that. Not
I don't think it's that far-fetched.
Not out of a show like this.
I don't think it's that far fetched. Like,
what other Star Wars thing has done that?
well, I mean, I'm not saying it has to have happened before, but I don't think it's that out of the box kind of an idea.
I think it is, because that would require a pretty substantial budget, which, not that they don't have it, but they probably wouldn't give that to them to do that, especially for this little filler episode in the middle of the show.
I mean, I don't have exactly how the shots would play out or a storyboard of what would happen, but even if it was, I mean, maybe it didn't have to be 25 minutes, but even if it was just a little bit of it, I don't, I don't think it's that far-fetched of an idea for them to have done something like that. And I think it would have made this episode way better. Instead, we got Obi-Wan Kenobi waking up, freaking out, getting out of the bacta tanks after being in there for what seemed like maybe a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And then
shots.
he's just all of a sudden healed,
Yep.
and is able to go chase after Leia. And then we get this really weird sequence of events with him and the other rebels in the base. He gets out of the Bacta tank, and then he finds Tala, and like he's just like, oh, we gotta go get Ray or not Leia or Leia. We gotta go get
Please no.
and we gotta go get Leia. We gotta go get Leia. And then they go and find this pilot, I guess, or whoever he is. He's played by oh my gosh, what's his name? Ice Cube's son. Did you know that actor?
I don't even remember who you're talking about.
The pilot guy. Do you have a picture of him? No.
I have a picture of him, but
The-
O'Shea
I'm trying to
Jackson.
look it up. I don't even
Shea
remember.
Jackson. The character that like at the end of the episode he comes back and he's essentially who saves them because he brings two people with the T-38s or whatever they are to save them from the Inquisitors. But in the beginning of the episode, he has this conversation with them. And he's like, hey, I need you to help me. I need you to take me to the Inquisitor base.
Okay, wait. I don't remember what he looks like. Well, I mean, I see him now, but I do remember his interaction.
Yeah,
And
it's
so bad.
dumb. It's so bad.
It's
he
hilarious.
Like he talks to him and he's like, "I need you to take me to the Inquisitor base to find Leia."
No.
And he's like, "No, I don't want to. No, it's bad. The Inquisitor's bad. Like everybody dies." And then he's like, "You don't understand." And then Kenobi's like, "You don't understand what the Empire is capable of. We need your help." And then he's like, "No, I'm not doing this because I do know
I know what they're capable of.
I know what they're capable of because my wife was killed." And then literally, like, it was literally like maybe 30 seconds of screen time between him firmly saying, no, there's no way I'm helping you, to him being like, oh yeah, my wife was killed by the Empire. Okay, I'll help you.
Yeah. Yeah, that
It
was...
was so bad.
It's really bad.
It was so bad. It was horrible writing, horrible acting. It was so bad. That was one of those moments that we both looked at each other like, what? What just happened? Like, did we miss something? He just all of a sudden is like, yeah, I'll help you. And then they go on to make this plan of trying to figure out how to get into the Inquisitor's base. And they determined that the best way is for Tala to go in and use her cover.
I will say, whenever this comes up, it was funny because I immediately had a thing. I looked at Scar. I'm like, this is gonna piss me off from what they're doing right here because she uses her Imperial officer cover, right? And I was like, this doesn't make sense. But then it's interesting because they actually fix it, not like explain it in the show. So she goes there and she's trying to like use her officer status, right?
Right.
So I told Scar, I was like, look, if I was stationed at this base, I don't care that you're whatever, like some lieutenant.
Right,
if you show up, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
And my computer is telling me that you're not supposed to be here.
But they actually kind of explained it in a stupid way. But I gave them credit for at least trying it, because
You're talking about the deep cover shit.
yeah, like they, because she basically tries to like play around it of like, because doesn't she go like, oh, like I'm your superior.
I'm your
like,
superior officer. You will address me as sir.
That pissed me off. I was like,
what?
look, dude, this. And to be fair, this is not the first time I've seen this, because they do this in Halo Forward Unto Dawn. I don't know why. It's like is this a sci-fi thing where they're like, if you're an officer,
You're
you address
sir.
them as a sir, even though you're actually a man,
Yeah.
because you're a female. Like, why does it have to be?
Hey, hold on. Did you just assume her gender?
Yeah, I did.
She says you will address me as sir.
So
And
that was
I laughed
weird.
at that. I was like, okay, cool.
But that was whatever. But
So then she goes in and she uses her cover to get into the computer and open up a hatch for Obi-Wan Kenobi to swim into, because she swam across the ocean apparently.
yeah.
Which I will say, the initial shot of seeing him underwater with the rebreather on was cool.
Yeah, it was
'Cause
cool
like,
seeing it with the rebreather again.
you know, homage to episode 1 with him and Qui-Gon using the rebreathers to get to the Gungan city and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So that was cool to see. But then he like swims through the hatch, and there's a stormtrooper at the door, and he gets the stormtrooper, does whatever, and just throws him into the hatch, and then there's just a stormtrooper floating in the hatch in the water, like.
Yep.
No big deal. Like, there's just not just...
They did the same thing with
Yeah.
Tala and the guy's like,
Yeah.
let me...
He's like, this is not your station.
Yeah, this is not your station. Let me go talk to you in the back.
And then she kills him and
She,
leaves him
chokes
behind
out,
some, like,
yeah.
bookshelves
She's
or
like, okay,
something.
no big deal. Just
Yeah.
a dead, it's not
Dead
dead,
person.
but he's, body just laying there.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. I was just like, okay, sure, whatever. I'll look past that for the sake of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then there's just a sequence of events of her trying to direct him to where Leia's being held, all while Leia's being interrogated by the third sister, right? Which was just, it was so cringy to me. It was so cringy.
Yeah, that
Leia
third sister, man.
was like, this is one of those situations where Leia is acting far beyond her years. And I get that Leia's supposed to be this super smart, very mature person for her age, but you're being interrogated by an inquisitor. You're telling me a 10-year-old is going to be able to outwit an inquisitor that has the use of the Force?
The third sister, sure, because she's an idiot.
Well, yeah, but... So it was cringy. The third sister tries to do, like, this... good cop, bad cop routine with herself.
Yeah.
Like, she starts off with like, look, they're not coming to help you. Only you can help yourself. Let me help you help you.
I know that you
I know
know
that you're
I
okay.
know that you know.
Yeah. I was just
Where
like,
he
oh
is.
my God, what? And then
I thought you
Leia,
said bad cop, bad cop.
like, outwits her, and then she tries to force read her mind. And she's like, oh, you're strong, but you won't be able to last forever. What?
And then it's about to use the
And
thing on her, right? The machine.
yeah, and then she
And
takes her
she's
to
like,
the...
oh, sorry. They said this was urgent.
Yeah,
Just like-
that's real cheap. That's a real cheap way to get her to stop.
Well, I thought it was fun. To me, I enjoyed it because it makes her look
Stupid.
stupid.
Yeah.
Because she is.
It was a little cool to see that machine, I guess, because it's the same machine that they were going to use on Leia in episode 4, I think. 4, yeah, episode 4. When she's being interrogated by, shoot, I forget who it is, but they're, yeah. Who's she? Because she gets, when she gets taken to the base, and she's going to be interrogated. I don't know if she's being interrogated by Vader or not, but they were going to use the same machine on her.
I think it was Vader.
In episode 4. It might have been Vader. But then we get Obi-Wan Kenobi coming to the rescue, right? Which this scene, it's not this particular scene, but it's the first time we see Kenobi use his saber, and he shuts down the lights because we all know in order to save somebody you have to turn off the lights. And then you just see like a saber appear on one side, cuts down one of the stormtroopers, disappears, shows up on the other side, cuts down the other one. It was cool. It was a
very
cool moment.
And then it was funny because the
yeah.
last stormtrooper was so
He's
funny.
just like,
It's funny because obviously you can't see anything.
Yeah.
It was like, freeze.
yeah, show yourself.
You're under arrest. Like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah. One thing I want before we move on in the actual breakdown of it, it was prior to this scene. There was one moment during the whole sequence of events of Tala leading him to the chamber where Leia is being held. Okay, the shot. I don't know if you have a picture of this, but I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. There's a shot of 2 stormtroopers that are at one end of the hallway, walking towards the door on the far side. And Kenobi comes through that door, sees that there's stormtroopers at the other end of the hallway, and just like hops into like the side of the hallway or whatever, when the stormtroopers are literally in the same frame as him hopping, and the stormtroopers don't see him.
I don't remember.
It was like, that was another one of those moments where I looked at my brother and I was like, what? You didn't just see a dude in a brown robe jump into the side of the hallway when he's literally like maybe 20 feet in front of you? Like, there's no way. Like, I was just like, oh my God, what? That is, I know stormtroopers are blind, apparently, because they can't shoot anything, but come on.
But they're not, though. Because only a stormtrooper could do that kind of damage.
It, yeah.
It's really inconsistent in Star Wars.
I was just that moment in the show. Just I was just like, come on, that is just ridiculous. Like maybe if they had done it where they was around a corner and he heard them and he jumped in, like you could have done it better than him just hopping in while the stormtroopers are walking down the hallway, and then he uses his force powers to make a sound on the other side of the door,
that.
and then they go check it out and he gets away, right? Which, speaking of his force powers, the escalation of his abilities in this episode was way too fast in my opinion. On the ship headed to the Inquisitor base, he's trying to like force pull an object off of the table, and he can barely get it to move. And then by the end of the show or end of the episode, he's able to hold back an entire ocean's worth of water coming through a broken glass. That I'm sorry, but it like the way that they've been portraying Obi-Wan Kenobi up to this point, for his escalation of powers to happen that quickly does not, I don't think, it's not feasible to me. It's not, that doesn't make any sense that where he was before and now he's just like, oh yeah, I can hold back water, an ocean's worth of water. So getting back to the breakdown, sorry. That scene just really irked me when I watched it live. I was like, oh my God, what? But he saves Leia, and then from there on, the episode is them trying to escape the base, right?
Some more bad stuff.
Huh?
Some more bad stuff.
Some more very bad choreography of fighting. It was cool to see Obi-Wan use his saber to deflect blaster bolts, but there were so many times where there were stormtroopers on opposite ends of him, and he's facing one direction fighting the blaster bolts, and then there's stormtroopers behind him that just don't do anything. They're like, oh yeah, he's fighting those guys. We gotta
you
wait.
Didn't know that it's turn by turn based?
Yeah, apparently they're just standing there like, oh yeah,
It's not our turn yet.
Yeah, hold on, wait for him to turn towards us, then we can shoot.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
So it was just, I mean, there were cool moments of him finally, watching him get, it seems like he's starting to get used to a saber again, right? He's kind of loosening up, finding his form again. I thought there was I think it's this particular frame right here that was an amazing opportunity for him to do his fucking pose of the saber over his head, and hand out, but he doesn't, which is just another instance.
There's never time to limber up.
It's just another instance throughout the series where it would have been a great time for them to interject some nostalgia, interject something of a classic Kenobi that they just chose not to. And that was super disappointing for me. And then he does the whole hold back the water thing and throws the water at the stormtroopers and runs away.
We get some. This is the first time we've seen purge troopers too.
Yeah, that was cool. It was cool to see the purge trooper
Outside of the game.
He got messed up.
Yeah, outside of Fallen Order.
The whole water thing, if it would have been really cool for me if the escalation of power part wasn't there, if he already, like, if it was believable for me for him to have that ability at that point, it would have been really cool because it's like a direct correlation to Jedi Fallen Order. I don't know if you made it to that point in the game when they are at the Inquisitor base and they're fighting, and this kind of a similar thing happens, and then Vader has to hold back like an onslaught of water. There's a part in the game where like it's in a similar situation. It's a hallway and the glass breaks, and then Vader has to stop fighting Cal Kestis and everybody else to hold back the water with the Force, and that's how Cal escapes and stuff. And so that would have been really cool, like as a direct correlation, if it wasn't believable for me for him to have that power at that point. So, yeah. I guess I'm more heated about this than I thought.
I mean, the sad thing is, like, you're absolutely correct, and I don't disagree with it. It's just I think my expectations are just lower than what
mine were. I understand. Because then from here on out, like after that part, to me, the entire episode was just straight trash. Like
Dude,
everything, everything
so,
from
so when they're in the hangar
yeah,
and the third sister again, just bad. I don't even want to talk about it. It's just really bad whenever she's there. But the snow speeders, bro.
yeah. Is the T-38s right? Is that the T-47? I don't know where I got that name from.
The effects on them look super bad.
Yeah, the CG was kind of
It
bad.
literally looks like somebody's dangling like a little
Yeah.
toy. And I mean, I know.
Before we get to that, though, let's talk about how Kenobi and Tala were able to get Leia to that point, because that in and of itself is just bananas to me. They literally Obi-Wan dons a Imperial officer's uniform with a trench coat.
I totally forgot
And
about
they
that.
freaking tuck Leia into the side of the trench coat and just cover her,
Right,
and
yeah,
like are
so-
walking through the base.
So they pull an Austin Powers gold
Yes,
member,
very much
mini
so.
me and Austin Powers thing.
It was so bad.
It's really bad.
It was
It's
so
funny,
bad.
but it's not supposed to.
Because
be
it
funny.
wasn't like there was a few stormtroopers, a few Imperial officers here and there. They were literally walking through a base that was in the
That was in
process
full
of
alert.
going into lockdown.
Yeah.
And there were probably hundreds of stormtroopers and officers and whatever walking around in all different directions. And there's no way you can tell me not a single person noticed that this dude is walking with a giant right leg. Like, it doesn't
Well,
make
not even
any
that.
sense.
I mean, literally everything about it, like the legs, the trench coat.
Yeah, and then
No,
at
who
one
the hell
point
wears
she
a
like
trench coat?
at one
And
point
then
she
the-
like peeks out too.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing? What are you trying to get caught?
And then on top of that, like you ain't fooling anybody wearing the hat.
Yeah.
Like your hair is just all over the place.
With
you
your
have a beard.
full beard.
Like,
Yeah.
come on, dude.
Yeah, it was that part was and it, like maybe he did his force. These are not the droids you were looking for in the
No,
entire base.
no way.
But even if he had done that, it
much as
still
I-
would have been far fetched for me to believe that they made it all the way to the hangar, before anybody realized. And that the only person that realized was the third sister running up from behind. Traitor!
Yeah, I don't know why she tried to
That was
do a Kylo
Ren
thing.
moment.
Come on.
Yeah.
It was cool when he did it.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it.
Yeah, she did. And then there's a very somber moment where they get surrounded by stormtroopers and the third sister and the other inquisitors, and like you're sure that something's about to happen because there seems like there's no way out from there. And then Mr. Ice Cube's son comes in with his two helpers, and they're piloting some T-47s, and they start
I
shooting
thought
everybody.
it was just the two helpers. Didn't he stay back?
Yeah,
on the
he
main
stayed
ship?
back on it, but I mean, he's the one that brought him.
Yeah.
So they come in and they start shooting up the hangar, and they give Leia and Kenobi enough time to escape to one of the T-47s. And then the T-47s start taking off, and the third sister just picks up a fuel cell and throws it at the fucking T-47. Yeah. Like, I get that she's supposed to be powerful and is very in tune with the Force and able to use.
She wasn't powerful up until that point, though.
But like, you're telling me that you can throw a fuel cell as fast as a T-47 is starting to take off? Like,
It's not a fast ship.
I know it's not, but it's still a ship. Like, when like,
No.
yeah, it just it didn't make. I don't know. It was a little bit of a reach for me. And yeah, that's right after she throws the fuel cell, and so then, you know, this is the moment where you're like, oh, they made it. They got away. They've bested the third sister. And, you know, this is a clear win in favor of Leia, Obi-Wan, and Tala. And they make it back to the ship, and they have this somber moment because
I didn't care.
Ice Cube's son,
friend.
son's character is like, oh, you're back. And they're like, oh, yeah,
Where's
but
the
this
other
guy
guy?
didn't come back. And then they're like, we're not in a war and people don't die. Like, okay, whatever.
And
sure, be sad.
Somebody was like, "Oh, I guess you're a soldier now."
Yeah. That scene, I get it. You're sad. Whatever. I can look past that. And then after that, we get a scene interacting between. You guys probably gonna have a hard time seeing this on the video, but this is Vader walking out of the hallway, and look.
This was my favorite moment.
Yeah, it's the favorite moment of this scene. However, for me, what happens directly after this actually, like, to me, cancels out this part. Because
'cause-
Vader walks out, grabs the
It's
third
not even
sister.
like let me say like he like
he doesn't walk out. He
he's
like,
speed walking,
Yeah.
like with purpose.
yeah,
like,
you can tell he's pissed. And he grabs the third sister,
And
throws her to the table, and like, I don't remember if he slams her down or just starts choking her.
No, he just starts force stroking
Yeah,
her.
and he's like,
And, like, lifts
he's
her
like, your, what does he say, like, your insolence is,
I don't know, like you're
something
failure,
like
blah,
that,
blah,
like-
blah, 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 you suck.
yeah, you suck. And I was like, what?
Huh?
What?
He was saying that you were warned what failure
Oh,
would
yeah.
bring.
Yeah, you were
Probably
warned what your
good,
failures would
whatever.
bring.
You suck, get good.
Yeah, and I thought that was the end of Third Sister. I thought, like,
Oh,
yes,
well, see, this is the thing, right?
end it.
When
like-
when it's happening, I'm like, yes, do it, do it. Of course, I know it's not going to happen, so I
Right.
wasn't disappointed because I know they're not going to do that. As much as I would love that,
So I thought, he's gonna, I don't know, do some Vader stuff, which that's what I would have expected from Vader. And in this time, Vader was no remorse. You fail me, you're dead. Like, I don't give a
they should have just
who
had
you
him,
are.
as soon as like walk up, just force pull her and just straight
Zonk.
like cut her
Oh,
like
that
right
would've been
there.
Sick. That would have saved the
And
entire
then
episode.
he just turns to the rest of the Inquisitors like, this is what happens when you suck.
Turn it and be like, find them. That would have saved the entire episode. But what happens is she gets out a word while being force choked, and he lets up and he's like, what? And
He's
then
like,
she's
"What'd
like,
you
I
say?"
put a tracker
I let her go
on the ship.
on the droid.
Or on,
Well, she doesn't say
said,
specifically
I
what,
put
but
a
it's-
tracker on her.
But it's on the droid.
And then like Vader's like, oh, I underestimated your abilities.
No, you didn't, bro.
And I'm like,
She's
what?
trash.
That's the cheapest thing that you could
Yeah.
possibly do for this situation. The cheapest thing. Like, that is what happens in every freaking, like, superhero or spy
like,
movie
it's not
or whatever.
impressive at all.
It's not anything we haven't seen before. And you choose to do that? Oh, I put a tracker on her so she could lead us back to their base of operations, and now we can take
So
the
we can
whole
destroy
base.
the path.
Like, Vader didn't give a shit about the path.
Yeah,
he
the
didn't
whole
give a
point
he
is to
didn't
get
care about
Kenobi.
everybody else. All he wanted was Kenobi, and you had Kenobi, and you let Kenobi go.
Yeah.
All because you were like, oh, I'm put a tracker on. No. And it comes to light that Lola, Leia's droid, is the tracker because during the interrogation, the third sister was talking about the droid and touching it, and apparently that's when she put the tracker on it. And then I don't remember how Leia gets Lola. Like, I don't remember how, because she goes from being interrogated to put in the interrogation machine, and then Kenobi grabs her and they head out the base. So I don't know at what point she gets Lola back.
Didn't she? I thought she gave it back right after because she was like, I had a droid once, blah, 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 blah. Tried to make up a stupid sob story and then I thought she gave
She
Lola
might
right
have.
back.
I probably would have to watch it again, but yeah. Anyway, it was a cheap, stupid way of them explaining or justifying of her letting them go, and to me it demeans the whole sequence of events right before that. Like, Vader, as cool as he was, like choking her and stuff, like, to me after that I was like, that was stupid. That whole scene was stupid.
Yep. it
Like,
was.
why you just ruined that scene? You took something that could have been a great moment in the entire series, and you turned it into this cheap trick of stupid spycraft that we've seen a million times before. And then the episode, I think then they go back to the ship and you see Lola turn red, like her eye or whatever turns
Yeah.
red, and that's how you know she's the tracker. And then the episode ends. And so now obviously the next two episodes they're going to know where they're at, and so they're going to come after them or whatever, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But it was so bad to me. The way that this scenario or this episode panned out, the storytelling or the screenwriting, the way that they wrote this episode was absolutely horrible, and the execution of it was just as bad, in my opinion. I'm really, really sad. Really sad that about all these things, and obviously I'm going to continue to watch the show because I can't not. But I'm just really sad, and like at this point, I don't think it's gonna live up to my bold prediction. I think that prediction is out the window now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
So,
not happening.
did you have anything else that you wanted to show up there,
No.
Mr. Producer Man? So, in the end, guys, I don't really have much more to say other than it was just incredibly disappointing. There is one part of the episode that kind of, I don't think it redeems, but it is a moment that was like kind of cool, I guess, is when Kenobi like walks through the tombs of all the Jedi that were killed during Order
Yeah, it was
66.
supposed to be like the shock moment.
Yeah, but like a lot of them I didn't know until after I watched the episode and I did some research on who they were. There was one youngling that was in there that was kind of a little heart wrenching. There's one person in the gel or whatever it is that looks a lot like what Ice Cube's son described his wife to look like. Which, if that was who it was meant to be, then I guess that's kind of cool. But yeah. There's also a person in there that, according to, who's it? New Rockstars, right? We watched. That looks a lot like, what's his name? Voss, right? Isn't that his name? Quinlan.
Yeah, but
It looks a lot. I doubt it's him, but it looks a lot like
Wouldn't
Quinlan
make sense
Voss.
for WM.
Which we know he originally survived Order 66, but it looked a lot like him. And then there's one person at the very end on the right-hand side that looks a lot like Mace Windu, but I don't think it's Mace Windu because he still has his right hand. And Mace Windu's right hand was cut off by Anakin in episode 3.
I don't remember.
It's all
Anybody
really
looking
quick.
like
Like, the only reason why I know this stuff is because of a video that I watched after the episode
They
breaking
just
it
took
down.
it like frame by frame.
Yeah, that they took it frame by frame. That's the only reason I know those particular things about it. But in the moment of watching the series of the God, I keep saying movie, watching the TV show, it was a kind of a cool moment. I guess not cool, but just a redeeming moment of him walking down, seeing all these people that were killed by the Inquisitors under the Order 66, and maybe it'll come back to play later on in the series. But at this point, I'm just gonna like take my expectations and cut their knees off and put them down really low.
You see, yeah, you just gotta go full Anakin, dude. Like, I have the high ground, and yeah, you're just gonna they're gonna underestimate your expectations, and then you're gone.
Yeah, so I don't really have much more to say other than that. I'm really disappointed. There's so much that they could have done to make this better, and they just haven't. And at this point, I think it's too late. They only have 2 episodes left, and
Yeah, there's another season though, right?
sure, but what the hell is the next season going to be about?
I don't know. I have
Because
no idea.
it's not like they made this season with the expectation of a second season happening. This was supposed to be a limited series to begin with. So whatever story they're telling in this season isn't supposed to span the length of 2 seasons. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the end of this season could leave you with a cliffhanger to lead into a next season, because that wasn't how they originally shot this film or shot this TV show.
Yeah, I mean that's not how Disney labels their shows. Like, limited to them doesn't mean like it's only one. It means if you don't like it, they will only have the one. But if there is, which just like they announced that there's going to be another season if there's enough people that watch it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, yeah, you're like technically right in the sense that like they are supposed to, I guess, generally write it to be a one-off thing.
Right.
But I don't know. They have like the time frame that this takes place in. You only have so much things you can really do,
exactly.
anyways. So I don't know. That's why like I don't expect a whole lot from this. I just want to like I just pretty much just want the highlights. Is what I'm watching this for.
Well, I mean, at this point, I'm back down to that now. I'm sad, disappointed. I'll watch the last 2 episodes just so that hopefully I get some more Vader snapping necks.
More
cutting
Vader.
people up.
Give me Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
That's about it.
If they don't give us Qui-Gon, I'm gonna throw my TV out the window. Probably not, because that TV is really heavy. But
Just use the Force.
ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you guys thought of episode 4. Were you as bummed out or disappointed as I was, or did you find the episode not as bad as I did? Let us know what you thought down in the comments below. Let us know what you're excited to see in the next 2 episodes, and then give us a bold prediction of what you think season 2 is going to be about. Like, we obviously kind of know what this season is going to end at, right? What do you think season 2 is going to be about? We look forward to seeing you guys down in the comments below. Thank you for being here. Please like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye, guys.